Hello, hello, hello. It is Sean LeRae, and it's Wednesday, so you know what time it is. It is time for Boss Talk.
One of a kind. One of a kind.
Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Boss Talk. It's Wednesday, and y'all know that's Hump Day. So go ahead if you're out there and put in the chat what you are doing to help you make it to the end of the week, because you know we're at Boss Talk. We love the weekend. I have an amazing guest for you tonight, so go ahead and share that link out. Send it to your friends, especially your sister friends, because they will want to be in the house for this conversation tonight. So take your time right now and send it out. And hello, hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in tonight. It's Wednesday, and that's Boss Talk time. So I have to give a shout out to the creators of my theme song. That's Wayne Lindsay and his beautiful daughter, Alana Lindsay. And I want to just say thank you once again for that, because we love it. We love it. We do. So I don't know if you noticed, but Boss Talk has a new look tonight. We have some waves on our banner, and I just want to shout out my producers for that lovely gift. So if you love it, go ahead and put that in the chat. And if you're here for the first time, let us know that. Let us know where you're tuning in from, because we always love to have new people on here. And we are here every week on Wednesdays, right here on YouTube at Boss Talk LA. So tell your friends and subscribe. Go ahead right now and hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell so you can know when we go live. So yes, indeed, it's that time again. So I just want to thank you again for tuning in. And it's the holiday season, and it's a season that I actually love. I love the lights. I love seeing all the festive design and decorations out. But I also love that it's a time when people are actually in great moods. And so, though it's very crowded outside, you will find people in more festive moods. And I really love that, because I think it's important that we be kind and loving toward one another. So when you're out there, in these mean streets, shopping and doing your thing, be sure to just nod and smile and be full of holiday cheer. Hi, doll, back at you. It's Renee, better known as Nene, my girl for a long time. Thanks for tuning in tonight, darling. It's so good to see you. And go ahead now and send that link out to someone else and invite them to join us in here tonight. So do that for us. So, I also want to talk about just what is your favorite thing during the holiday season? Nene, go ahead and put that in the chat. What is your favorite thing during this season? Um, Again, for me, it's the lights and the festivities. It's family, and of course, I hate to say this, but all the sugary treats, they're my favorite thing, although they're not my friend, but I do enjoy that quite a bit. I do definitely enjoy the sugary things that we get to eat during the holidays. And so one other important thing, I think the holidays offer us a time to reflect and to keep it real um, and authentic. And my guest tonight, I call her the queen of authenticity. She is an amazing woman who has been in my life for quite a long time, and I'm really honored and excited to have her here tonight. So, let me tell you a little bit about my guest. My guest tonight is Dr. Norma Hollis, and she is an international authority on authenticity and self awareness. She's a dynamic speaker, coach, teacher, and leader who is doing her part to make the world a better place. She is not your average entrepreneur because she approaches business to fulfill her role as a change agent. Her path is to impact the world in multiple ways. Her passion is writing programs for human development around the theme of authenticity and turning them into a training processes to deepen self-awareness and expand consciousness. Her programs are based on 30 years of research in human nature from personal, professional, and spiritual perspectives. Norma and her programs offer a fresh approach to life, living, business, and leadership for individuals and the organizations they lead. So, Boss Talkers, without another word from me, please welcome to the Boss Talk stage Dr. Norma Hollis. Whoops, there she is.
Hello, Charlotte Ray.
Hello, hello. Thanks for tuning in. I mean,
Thank
thanks for being here. I'm sorry.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And this is having you again because you were actually my I think you were my second guest.
I think so. It was up there, one of the top three. I'm one of the first three. I
Yes,
remember.
yes, you were my second guest, and that was very apropos because this podcast is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I think it was leaning into my authentic self as you helped me sort of discover and develop. So I have to shout you out for that, and again, it just makes sense.
It does. It does.
Yes. So I love the authenticity grid. And will you tell us a little bit about it? Tell the boss talkers a little bit about the grid behind you.
Well, the grid is a result of 30 years of research of trying to figure out who am I. It started when I was 28 and realized I had done everything my parents had say to do. I had the husband, we had a good car, we had good jobs, we had a house on the top of a hill with a nice little white fence and all the things they said would make me happy, and I was miserable. And I
Mm,
didn't know what to do with myself next because I didn't know who I was because I had been so busy fulfilling my parents' dream of who they thought a Black woman should be in America. And
mm,
that's when I kind of dropped out of life and began to research, well, who am I anyway? And in
mhm,
so doing, I found 9 distinct energies living within me. And I identified each energy with the name of an animal because I could sort that easy. So one was like a panther, one was a snail, one was uh, a rabbit. I had just different, all different energies. And so over the course of the next 30 years, I just was kind of led by my inner voice to go deeper into this energy. I could connected it to astrology. I connected it to numerology and
mm,
a lot of other things. And over the course of the next 30 years, it turned from a grid of me, which was just like the one you're looking at behind me, and it turned into an authenticity grid with energies that all of us have. At the time, I was the owner of a speaker bureau, and that was also when internet was just getting started, and I was kind of at the front of the line on that. So I was able to connect with people who wanted to be in my bureau and travel to 20 cities in 18 months and try out what I had come up with because I had turned this authenticity into an assessment that helps people understand their authenticity. And it just kept going and going. And over the course of the last 40 years, 30 years to develop and tend to figure out what it is, I have certified people. I have found people just transition to a different person. So
mhm,
it's something magical in this energy that was downloaded through me.
mhm.
I didn't start my life saying I'm going to do authenticity.
Right.
It said you're going to do authenticity, and
Mhm.
led me through the process that is now the authenticity grid.
Yes. Well, I can attest to how it really helped me. Because when I came to you, I knew I had something in me, right, that should be developed. I didn't know the direction it should go, and I believe. Well, let's back it up though. I first met you when I was trying to be a speaker, and so I joined your speakers bureau. So that was the first time. In fact, uh, Renee Nene went with me. She came down when I was at the conference downtown. She came down and met me, and we hung out that evening. And she got to meet some of the other people who were there at the conference. So it's kind of great that she's on tonight. But I think that started my journey with you and getting to know you and the things you do. And then we lost contact and ran back into one another at a women's summit
Right. I remember that.
in LA, and and it's been the connection and moving forward ever since. And I love that when I started working with you and in the work of authenticity, I began to, like you, discover myself. And so it was good because I was on a new path. I was on a new journey. I was trying to become a therapist and knowing,
Right.
what that was going to look like and how I was going to do that the way Sean LeRae wants to do that. And so I can say that working with you and the grid uh, really helped me to kind of set out the direction that I should be going, and gave me permission. I think it was really that too, to be my unique, authentic self, because it was very
Yes.
different. As you discovered, there are 9 people that live inside of me. I have a little bit of every piece of that grid, not only living inside me, but actively working, I think, all at once. And so it was really a gift for me, and understanding the different voices, you know.
Well, we all have them, but we suppress them. We lose them as early as our preschool years when we have to make a decision. Am I going to be myself and whatever I feel like doing, or am I going to just be who mommy wants me to be?
Hmm.
Mommy wants me to be quiet. Mommy wants me to whatever. So we give up our authenticity so early in our life, and it's sometimes we give it up for good and never really find it.
Yeah.
I help people to rediscover themselves, and it's
Yes.
the rewards of that are just remarkably phenomenal.
Hmm.
One by one, everybody just loves who they are when they really connect with that person.
Yeah. I love all the different directions that you have been able to move within the authenticity realm. Hello, Mr. Seals. He says, "Hey, thanks for tuning in, sir." So Norma, you discovered, right, these through the research and your own journey, what authenticity really looked like and what it meant. Now, where have you taken it? Where has it taken you, I should ask?
It's been a lot. It's been a remarkable journey. I started out by training other people about what I understood authenticity meant. Now, in the 40 years that authenticity has been teaching me, I've gained a lot of wisdom that I share freely in multiple ways. My particular assignment with authenticity, because I feel that it's an assignment, it's my purpose on the planet, was
Hmm.
first to create it and now to get it in as many places in society as possible. And by that, I mean industries, organizations, individuals, because it's changing lives. It's making transformative change within people.
Hmm.
When you figure that it's aligned with things that are common to the world, the esoteric sciences, if you will, because it's a tied to astrology and astronomy and numerology and Freud's work, the work of Jung, from a lot of different industries. And as I'm watching it unfold over the years, it's going. I now have my first class international trainers. I have 2 women one from South Africa, one from Botswana, one from Suriname in South America, and one from China. And so my job is to get it in as many locations in the world, industries in the world, people's hands. And so I'm certifying people from all over. I have about 2 dozen people now that are certified and are now teaching it. I no longer teach it. I've taught my trainers. So my trainers are teaching it now.
Hmm.
We're now taking it into corporate America. Corporate America is talking now about workplace authenticity. And while they're talking around it, we have a program that directly addresses it. And so we're just watching it unfold and see where it's leading
Mhm.
us. And I now have, I haven't told you this, I have a whole new team of a president of my company now, and a corporate liaison, and a program director, and a marketing consultant, and operations officer. So it's no longer a one woman's coaching business. It is now an organization that is certifying people around the world to teach all
Mm.
in their environments. Yeah, which has been
That
interesting all
is
along.
major. Congratulations. I just want y'all to hear that. Did you hear what she said? She got a whole team.
I got executive
I
team.
love that. An executive team. And then that frees you up to be more of your authentic self, I'm sure.
It frees me up to spend a week in Nassau, Bahamas, for example, and do absolutely nothing but relax and not. But the joy is, and this is just a month and a half old that I brought this team, brought the president in who's leading the
Hmm.
team. But it just, I'm now asking myself, so now, Norma, what do you want to do? Now that, because now, my job was to create the grid and to train people. But the business has grown beyond I have reached my level of incompetency. And so I now need someone who can take it from a business angle and do all the things that takes it business wide, which I have no interest in doing. My
Right.
interest is taking, because I've learned the grid has taught me so much, and I'm teaching. For example, when you look at the grid, when I explain it, what I found is that all of us have three voices: an inner voice that no one hears but us. That's, you see, vertical; an outer voice, which is how people perceive us; and an expressive voice, which is who we become in the world. And I've
Hmm.
always referred to the outer voice as how other people perceive you. They perceive you by your net wellness, by your network, and beneath that is net wealth, by how you come across in the world. But now I'm seeing outer voice as something different. I'm seeing that my outer voice here has an inner and an outer side to it. And I just express the outer side, but the inner side of outer voice is your self care, how you take care of yourself.
I
I mean,
love
I'd
that.
never considered that before. And a few months ago, I had some issues myself with my wellness. And I said, oh, it's because I spent so many years developing the program and I haven't taken care of me. So,
Hmm.
now I have people who are training this, who are learning from their background. I have a nurse who's taking it in one direction. I have a tech lady in Canada going to another direction. My girls from Africa are looking at it totally different. So it's a universal tool that clearly belongs in different countries, in different industries, in
Hmm.
different households, because every family, every organization, every individual can make their own grid. They can find their own animals or define their own energy. And then it gives you a life management system, a personal coaching tool that you can coach yourself. Because once you understand and you take our classes to understand how the grid works, then you have a tool you can use all the time to resolve the challenges that we all face from day to day. And we don't teach self-awareness on the planet. So it addresses all of those issues at once.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love that even after all these years you're still discovering,
I'm still
right?
discovering.
And making discovery. And I think that's so beautiful. And congratulations, because that is huge to be able to, we all want to sort of replace ourselves as we move out, and to sit back and to watch it now take flight is such a beautiful thing. And so I'm so happy for you in that realm.
Thank you.
Now, tell me what you've been up to lately.
Well, it's been taking authenticity in a different angle. So the years I've spent has been dealing with my authenticity and helping you understand your authenticity.
Hmm.
Now I'm looking at authenticity of society, of the world. We look at our world right now and how disjointed it is just in the United States with all the different value systems. There's no value that we all agree on in the world, even in our own households in some time. And that makes it difficult for us to get along. I think, for example, an example of that, if you look at Ukraine and how they've been able to stave off Russia for as long as they have, and I believe a lot of it is because all the people in Ukraine have one value: you're not taking my land. And when you can rally around one value, you can do so much. So as I've been looking at history from 5,000 years ago. I'm sorry, 5,000, 5 million years ago, whatever it is, to look at how the underclass has been the underclass for a long, 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 long time.
Mhm.
So the fight that we're having to try to build equality is not just a fight for African Americans. Every continent has their underdog, and that they're acclaimed underdog, and
Right.
they're fighting the same thing. So where does all of this discord come from? Why does it have to be that way? And so what's so interesting in my current awareness, and I say, and just like in doing the grid, information is fed to me. I'm led to information, which helps me know what my assignment is to share with the world. So what I've been
Mhm.
led to understand most recently, that's impacted you and the people in the Black Women's Network that we are involved in, is what I learned about Eve. And within about the last, it's only, this information is only about 5 years old, and people may have heard it or may not have heard it. It's not like the big go to the mountaintops and tell everybody. I
Right.
feel that way, but society doesn't. And I
Mhm.
want to encourage those of you who are listening to feel that way, because we're onto something that is life changing if we use it appropriately. And
Mhm.
that's the research. Now that now that they know so much more about DNA and how to research things, and they have all these companies now that can tell you where you're from and all of that. They've been
Right.
able to research the history of humanity, and they have found who they call Eve. So biblically, we know that life started with Adam and Eve, a male and a female.
Mhm.
And this is not the same biblical story, but it is the story of 150,000 years ago, when there were a number of human beings on the planet, but there's one woman whose mitochondria, and that's a substance in everybody's cells. There, her mitochondria is in every single human being that's currently on the planet.
Wow.
Now, mind you, there were other women alive at that time, but there's only one woman whose mitochondria has survived over all of these years. There,
Mm.
there's a CD movie about it, and I've watched it, and I've watched it a couple of times, and I'm not done. I've got to watch it a few more times, and explains a lot about what happened to society, that it got divided. So this woman, who we'll call Eve, they call it that in the research that they've done, her progeny ended up migrating to different parts of the world. So, she was one woman, and her grandchildren and great grandchildren and generations began migrating. And those that migrated more to the sun areas, and I don't know all the history of this, but we know that vitamin D is involved in photosynthesis and how we make changes. We know the sun's involved in that. And the research shows that it's Eve's progeny, a black woman, who created the white race. And it created because it took 20,000 years for their skin to change from dark brown to no color, to white. And that is because of the process of the vitamin D and the sun and wherever it was they were living. So those of you who are historians and want to know more, I get bits and pieces and put them together, but to go into everything has a depth beyond the depth that you understand.
Yes,
Want
indeed.
to know that deep can research that, and it's all about Eve. Is the name that the movie was narrated by Danny Glover, and I think it was put out maybe 2019, 2021, because the research I think was 2019. So it's only been out for a very short period of time, but it gives you migration stories and how some people went to China and some people went here, some people went there, but every human being on the planet right now comes from the same mother. So
Wow.
why do we have so much discord? Why do we have so much I'm against you? Or I don't like your dark skin, my white skin is better. Or I'm
Mm.
better, or you guys in your industry don't think that well because we're better than you. Why is all of that?
Wow.
We all came from the same womb, every single one of us. It's
That is amazing.
empirical evidence.
So, in real talk, the evolution of the black woman uh, was her DNA was that of a black woman.
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
And the history of the DNA can only be recorded from the women, not from the men.
So say that one again. The history of the DNA.
DNA, whatever it is that, and again, I don't know all the details of this. I'm giving bits and pieces, and the rows
Right.
of research can find it out. But I know what I'm giving you has 90% accuracy from what I was told from the research that I read, and
Ah,
that's that the history. When you do your DNA testing, they can, from what I understand, they can only give you the results of the women in your lineage.
mm.
They can't give you the results of the men because it's carried on through the women, not through the men. So that's powerful.
Makes
And what I
sense.
also learned,
Makes
what I also learned at the by one of my students who's a nurse, is that black girls, babies, preemies, outsurvive any other gender race. So we come to the world knowing we have a purpose and struggling to say we no we
exciting.
gonna
We
live.
going.
We got something to do. We gonna live.
We got
So
a God given, God driven purpose right here. So we're
that's
gonna work on through this incubator, right?
right. But recent research says that that's no longer true, but it was true at
Mhm.
one point. So we have to look in that and see. I don't know, and then you don't know what's real. 'Cause I knew the research. You don't know what's real and what's not real.
Right. You have to
But
keep
that's
digging.
exactly. You have to,
Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, this is interesting though, because I keep hearing more and more about the origin of us, of Black people, and that we were here before all of this stuff started happening and things like that. And so it's a very interesting thing then to look at um our evolution, because it is one of survival.
It is one of survival. It has to be, and we're actually becoming better at it because there's more attempts to get rid of us. So we're getting better
Mhm.
at it, and we still, as Maya Angelou says, and still we rise. We keep on
Yes.
rising. So there's something to be
Yes.
said there. And
Yes,
the
indeed.
mitochondria, you can't deny that. I mean, how is that going to change? How is that going to change 100 years from now unless the whole
Right.
population is wiped out and somehow it starts again?
Yes.
If it's in everyone now, it will be in everyone from now until the time that humans don't exist anymore.
Hmm. Wow.
Yeah,
Mr. Seal says, don't forget the world was one landmass called Pangea, and that is why we are everywhere.
right.
So, this is something that he has been researching recently too, and discovered that um, there was another comment that he put up. I think that, let's see, did the geneticists have researched the DNA? I will say no more, 6 verses 9. So, geneticists, rewrite that, write that again and share more about what you mean by that, because he did some research about the DNA, and apparently Black people have 9 strands of DNA, whereas there are 6 strands in Caucasian people. And so there's something about that too, to say that now the mitochondria is in every one of us, coming from this Black woman, Eve, and there are more strands of DNA that are related to Blackness, or Black families, or Black, you know, the Black race, or I guess. So it's all very
I never heard
interesting.
that. I'd love to know
Yeah.
more about that. I've never heard that, but I'll look
Yeah.
it up. I'll research it myself. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Now, have you
Thanks for,
heard of Pangea?
huh?
Have you heard of Pangea?
I have not. I
This
have not.
is so yeah, so that was something that he found just a day or so ago. Um, or at least pulled it up to show me
Okay.
a day or so ago. And so it's all very interesting, and I'm more and more intrigued with it as we go on. Now, I know some of the teachings that you're doing is also having to do with Black goddesses. Can you share about that?
Well, let's go first to the Black Madonna.
Okay.
So the Black Madonna, this was found in around in the late 1930s. They began to realize how many Black Madonnas are in the world. And if you look up Black Madonnas in Wikipedia, they have a page in there with photos that talk about the number of Black Madonnas. For example, I think we counted, there's 26 countries in Europe that have Black Madonnas. There's 44 locations in France that have Black Madonnas. And the Philippines has a number of them. A number of places on the planet recognize Black women as being just as powerful as we're talking about. the Black Madonna is referred to as Mary. Mary and the baby and Jesus. And there are other references to it as well. But there in the United States, it was four. Now they say that there was two. Now they say that there's four, but there may be more. But it's not revered as it is in other places. They are talking about some of the skin of the Black Madonnas has turned white over time or been painted white. I don't know which it is. So, but there's always been an effort worldwide, so it seems, to downplay African Americans, especially and Black women particularly. But history shows now, history is revealing in this generation that we're in now, with the advancement of technology and DNA knowledge, et cetera, that the Blackness that they fear so much, I guess they got a reason to fear it because we're more powerful than they realize, evidently. So they're showing that just by their actions that they know. Yes.
Yes. I'm looking here now. It says that the important studies of dark-skinned holy images in France were by Camille Flammarion, 1888, Marie Durand Lefebvre, and Emile Saliance, and Jacques Hunyan. The first notable study of the English origin of the meaning of the Black Madonnas appears to have been presented by Leonard Moss at a meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science on December 28th, 1952. And he divided these images into three categories: dark brown or Black Madonnas with physiognomy and skin pigmentation matching that of the indigenous population. Various art forms have turned Black as a result of certain physical factors, such as deterioration of lead-based pigments accumulated from smoke. And now they're trying to use the votive candles and the accumulation of grime over the ages. The miracle workers Madonnas, the focus of the study. Black Madonnas found in areas of Roman legion and therefore not a reflection on the population's skin color. So that's interesting that they are trying to give it another reason for its Blackness.
Yes, they always do, don't they?
100%. Let's see. He said, this is spiritual and needs to be talked about more. Absolutely. And I think I love that it is a conversation that sparks interest and sparks more of actually, again, it leads right into, and I see how for you this is in alignment with all that you represent, because it is the authentic nature of the Black woman and in her evolution. And so much of the time we're made to be downplayed and our power downplayed as well. And so to see that we need to dig further into finding out our authentic ancestry and history, and that, so it's work that really resonates with me and with you, being involved in it. I love that.
Well, it's world changing. If you realize more who you are, you have more personal power to be that. And if you realize that the gifts that you were given, that you were born with, are gifts that God saw to give to you so that you could do your contribution to what the world needs to get rid of all this craziness. I have this firm belief that, as William said, this is spiritual. And if all of us, and most of us, so many of us, are receiving messages that we call our message, we call our purpose, whatever we call it. And if we would just get together in our own small groups even and share the messages that we are receiving, and then find the thread in those messages, we can have far more clarity of what we can do to change things. We cannot beat our oppressors by playing their game. We have to play the game. We have to come around a different way. Yeah. And God's given us, he gives us the clues. He gives some of us more than others. He gives all of us something. And if we just share that piece that we get in a more organized way, and we have different people, different groups getting their thread and then comparing notes, we can eventually figure this out and get the answers and get the power. Because I think, it's just like it's a superpower. But our collective superpowers can make a difference.
Right.
and if we are more strategic, on my grid, you can't see it too well, but on this side over here at the top, it says think, communicate, and do. And those are
Mhm.
energies that all of us have in one way or another. We need thinkers who can strategize and make the plan and identify how we can make this change and how we can get together with people. We need communicators to communicate with themselves, with others, and with the universe to see how the universe can help us to do what we need to do.
Mhm.
Doers who will step in and actually get the work done. So we need all of that. None of us can be all of it. So we need each other to get together collectively and figure it out. It's doable. If we take our mind away from the next biggest car we're going to buy, or the next diamond ring, or all the things that we are advised to use our money on, as opposed
Mhm.
to raising and improving our society and ourselves. And the other thing I want to mention is that as human beings, we get so stuck on the 80 years or so that we live on the planet,
Mhm.
realizing that there were 8,000 or so years
Yes.
before, and there's going to be 8,000 or more years after us.
Yes.
We cannot just focus on that few years that we're here and the pleasure
Exactly.
we get, or the nails that we do, or all the things that are so insignificant. So how can we use some more of that time to focus on what then we can
Mhm.
do to do our contribution to what can make the next 8,000 years better for our generation? Because we can see in our own timeline that
Yeah.
it's got worse and worse, as they say.
More worse around.
It ain't getting better and better. It's getting worse and worse.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and the interesting thing too is if when I think of that, when you say going back and looking, I think of Sankofa
Mhm.
and the idea of knowing history and going back to get what was left behind, and it translates as it is not taboo to fetch what is at risk of being left behind. And I think that speaks to this so well, because if we do not take these tidbits that you're giving, that others are giving, that we learn on our own, and put them together and go back to get what was left behind, the richness of the culture, the power of our beings, and of who we were then, before they came and took us to a place called slavery. You know what I mean? So there was so much more before that. And understanding that even through that, the survival of that, even unto today, is just a fuller testament to the power
Yes.
and the resilience
Yeah.
and the genius that makes up who we are
Mhm.
as a people.
Mhm.
And so I think that is just is so amazing. So amazing. Let's
It is
see.
amazing. And then
Miss-
that takes us to the goddess part that you asked about. So one of
Yes.
my students, who is a retired nurse, she just was been brainstorming. She has some granddaughters who she's very, crazy about, and she's looking at girl, 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 and then she finally came up with this acronym for girl that I've had her trademark and get the domain name and all that stuff. And it's girl equals goddess in real life.
Oh,
GIL, goddess in real life.
I love
Isn't
that.
that fabulous? Yeah.
I
Because
love
that's really
that.
what we are. We are goddesses. We are born to be goddesses. When we talk about how men should treat us and things of that nature, because we're goddesses.
Mm.
Don't, it was in my generation, our generation, when we saw the difference when women didn't really work much when my parents were young.
Mm-hmm.
And then and women on TV were portrayed with our dresses and very nice. And now you've got women with machine guns and
Yeah.
everything else. So we've lost what it means to be the goddess.
Yes, indeed.
It doesn't mean
Indeed.
you can't protect yourself. Doesn't even mean you can't use a gun, understand a gun. But why you got to be machine gun? Why the movies now got to bring machine guns?
Exactly.
I think about when I came out of college. My degree was in child and family life sciences, early childhood education, in other ways. And shortly after that, they did the first research study on the effects of violence on TV and the effects it had on society. And the results said that the more violence seen on TV, the more violent we become as a human. Now, mind you, this was a lot of decades ago. TV
Hmm.
hadn't been out that long, but it had been
Hmm.
out for a while. And I'm saying to myself, hallelujah, they've shown it. They're going to change the TV. It's going to get so much better. And they did change it. They started putting violence in cartoons.
Hmm.
Seeing now with all the mass shootings, with all the things that are going on with the guns, is now like the second, third, now coming into the fourth generation that's grown up on violence on TV and violence on your video shows. And so
Exactly.
these people, they're monkey see, monkey do. That's
Hmm.
how humans are. So, like the little boy who, the 6-year-old that brought the gun to school, he clearly didn't realize the reality of it. It was still
Exactly.
just a game, still just fun. So we're not doing service. Society's getting worse and worse, as we said, because of
Yeah.
what we're feeding them. And until we take a stand individually in our own homes and our schools and the places where we do have some a leadership role to help students, help parents and their children to understand more. It's always been the thing about not having babies too early, and that has just gotten worse. And they tell me now, my students that work in schools tell me that even the 5-year-olds now are emulating sex in school. So it's gotten to the point that it's absolutely utterly ridiculous. I don't know. I can't imagine what the next 3 or 4 generations are going to be like, given how the decline that's been so obvious just in the short time that I've been on the planet. It's a little it's quite interesting.
It's frightening. Mr. Seal
It's
says,
right.
what'd you say?
He says, what did he what did he
He,
say? And I
he
will say it.
said, in 1996, the geneticists found that melanated people have 9 strands of DNA and Europeans only have 6 strands. This is major when it comes to intellectual genius. Ah, got it. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. And he says, now I will say this. Now I will say this: the black woman is truly a goddess.
Say it again, Mr.
Absolutely.
Sanders.
So,
Tell your friends.
yes, tell your friends exactly. Spread the word on that,
Spread the
please.
word. Mr. Seal said.
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting too when you talk about the gun violence on television. Recently, in my therapist organization, a presentation was done on video games and how to use them and how to help kids, psychologically and all of this and that. And I asked the question, um, because she said that research shows that the violence in video games does not increase the violent actions in kids. And I told her that I'm sorry, I don't believe that. I don't know how they could do a study that shows that. So there's something being tweaked in that study. There's some little loopholes because there's just no way, especially if it was shown years ago that this is it impacts children from television. And like you said, the cartoons just got more and more violent. And now you can turn on any show and listen and watch, and there's nothing but violence.
Nothing but
And
love.
then you turn around and you see violent acts increasing and going to children younger and younger in age are performing these acts. It really was disturbing to me to hear someone in the helping profession profess that it was not the case. And so I'm going to do more research myself to find out how it is that even happens and do my own personal research to see the impact and do other kinds of studies, because I know that there are ways to tweak the research in such ways that it doesn't show up in the way that
Mhm.
um and so and if it doesn't cause more violence, it certainly has impacted courtesy, kindness,
Mhm.
attitude, and all those things which are also important in our society and which need to be brought back because they have been put on the back burner for so long. Mr. Seal says the Black Madonna is also in the Russian cathedral, so their logic doesn't make any sense.
Of
Yeah,
course. Of course. The
yeah.
logic of all doesn't make any sense of any of it. If you
Hmm.
if you know the facts and the facts say that this is what it is and the facts are irrefutable, then none of it makes sense.
None of it.
Except,
Exactly.
well, I talked to a white girl just yesterday, and she explained to me that her white friends and most of them that she knows, their goal on their mindset for what life is about is how much power can you attain.
Wow.
So that was eye opening for me. I said,
Mm,
"Oh, so it doesn't matter about the quality of anything or the collaboration or the growth that we can do together. It's just who owns the power." And so, like, when you
mm.
think about what we're seeing politically, and
Oh,
we talked about the number of bills that have been passed in the last year. We're only 22. And then they talked about one of the presidents did 76 in his first 100 days or something. And there were only 22 last year and the whole year.
wow.
That just shows you that, it's just, there's a missing, the values are just totally, totally, totally different. That's our biggest
Hmm.
problem on the planet. We don't share values, and we don't have, we can't find one value that we all agree on.
Wow. And that is very scary in a great in this great big old world, right? Yes. Mr. Seal says this woman and the ancestors are definitely talking to her. We need to get together to connect the dots. She said something earlier that opened the doors of my understanding. Very good. Very good.
Was it I said that opened it, but I'm glad I did. That's a good, good to know.
Yeah, you're definitely speaking Mr. Seal's language.
Happy to do it. Happy to do it. And I
In
got
that
a
way,
lot more in my back pocket too. So
yeah. Absolutely. Well, Dr. Norma, I'm really excited and happy to see the direction in which you're being led. And I love also that you allow yourself to be led. That has always been something that I've admired about you,
thank
and
you.
that it actually resonates in your whole life's work. And it's so exciting that a little girl from was it Michigan?
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Detroit, Michigan.
Well, the good thing about the beauty about living long enough of going on your own path is that it all now makes sense. Because before, I really felt that I was blindly following. I could not follow what I was asked to do, but it
Mhm.
made no sense. And there were so many times that I would have just given it all up for a dime almost. It just was so
Mhm.
challenging. But now to see that I'm a point that just by listening to my voice, and I have this grid, and just by listening to the voice, I have people that have trained in this grid, and just by watching how God and the inner universe works through me, people were led to me. I have 3 Caucasians on my executive team. I didn't pick any of them. They were led to me in all unusual ways. I've learned that I don't pick well because I don't understand the mentality a lot of the people on the planet. So,
Mhm.
and especially when it comes to making money, that to live all, give all, grand all, best thing in the world, I don't get it. Because
Mm.
what I know is that God provides. If I do what I'm asked to do, I'm provided for. And it
Yes,
doesn't mean
indeed.
provided for means I have to have $1 million in my bank. I got a spiritual bank that has more than $1 million that takes care of my needs. I mean, even down to the point in October, my mechanic drove my car and ended up totaling it and didn't even tell me. And for a
I
week
do know
later,
the story.
yeah. So, but the bottom line of it, I never got upset. To my friends, and why aren't you upset? Why? Because what can I do about it? If I get upset, I'm just making myself upset. But
Right.
the end product, the end result was that the car had some challenges with the gas tank, and I just really realized this today that I think it was saving me from what could have been a problem with the car, and I ended up having the car appraised for more than I purchased it. The mechanic who messed it up gave me a couple grand to get in a new car. I found a new car and paid it off, and therefore have no car note. The insurance is less, and I had enough money left to pay my mortgage that month.
See,
So, it works out.
it does.
What you're
It
asked
does.
to do, it works out. So just
Hmm.
because the man and the commercials tell you that you should go buy the biggest, baddest, most expensive that you can find and everything that you can find, that don't make you happy. I have
Right.
to be at 28. I had all that. And I
Hmm.
went through some struggle following my voice, but had I not, I couldn't share with you now. I couldn't tell other people about it. I couldn't be of a value to what might be of value for you. I couldn't. No one, someone like William, couldn't tell me that something you said earlier changed my understanding. That's my goal, to help
Yeah.
expand your perspective,
Yeah.
because education and growth is all about having a different way to look at things, and that's what
I love it so much. I love you so much. Thank you so much. So Dr. Norma, I always ask our guests to share something with the boss talker, something that you would like to leave them with. Oh, but let's see what Connie says. Hey, Soror Connie. Connie was a guest on the show too, Dr. Norma. She says, God provides, amen, in Jesus Christ's name. He is our source and resource. The Lord works everything out. Blessings, everyone. Yes, hello, my sister. Good. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And of course, you know this voice. Why get upset? I'm only getting myself upset for things out of my control. Norma Hollis. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you know, Dr. Norma, I will say this. That is something that I am working more and more on. I was really good at it, and then I sort of lost it, and I'm leaning back into that because I've had a few years that if I allowed myself to live in the space of what things make me feel like, and the magnitude of things and the unfairness and the all those things, even in what I thought was, even in my, what is the word, and not understanding, not knowing the why of anything in the past 3 years, and maybe even five, because let's go back to the beginning of the pandemic and start with that. None of us knew the why, but
right.
in just like what I call roll with it, in rolling with it, I have come through this not unscathed by any means, but whole.
Mhm.
And I can say that I'm grateful for that, and just standing is enough right now, you know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So absolutely. So I'm trying to use that attitude in all places, even in the car, you know, because people can't drive. And maybe they say the same about me, but I am driving down now I just say thank you when people get in front of me and do all their things that they do that are dangerous, and otherwise I just like, oh, thank you. Oh, you needed to get over there quick. Okay, got it. Thank you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's just because the raised blood pressure, the wrinkled face, the nose line, the lines in your, all of it, we don't need it.
That's right. Don't need
We
it.
don't need it. And now I am more about what is going to serve me well in my wellness and my wholeness and all of those things.
That's called self care. That's a congratulations.
Yes, yes, indeed, indeed. So go ahead, give us your final thoughts. What would you like to leave the boss talkers with tonight?
Well, I'd like to leave you with how important it is to really learn how to listen to your inner voice,
Mm,
because it's talking to you all the time. That's your connection to source, connection to God. That's the connection to the gifts and talents you were given and what your purpose is on the planet. And if you want to get a little closer with that connection, here's a tip for you. You're all intuitive. You may not realize it, and you may want to be more intuitive. So think about how you answer yourself when you're asked these three questions that you ask yourself every single day. You ask yourself when you wake up, wonder what time it is. You will then ask yourself generally, well, what am I going to wear today? And you ask yourself several times a day, what am I going to eat? So look at how you answer yourself. Does the answer come as a thought, as a vision, something you can see, as a memory, something you've worn before or said before or ate before? Does it come in your gut? Do you sense it? So if you can pin down how you answer those questions and see the thread in that, then you get more clarity about how your voice speaks to you. And you can listen with far more, with a depth that can be more closer to the reality of what the message is for you. It's really important to create that personal relationship with the voice that speaks within. And that's one way you can continue to do that, to strengthen it and listen to it and build a relationship with that voice. That's the best thing you can do to create longevity for your own life and make sure that you're aligned with the voice that speaks within you.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I would have to say for me, it's visual.
Mhm.
Yes, I like that.
Everybody is different. So,
Yeah.
but to recognize it is good because then you know more about how you work. You know more about how God speaks to you. Mine's visual a lot too. What I used to
Mhm.
get before, I would get a vision and I would think it meant to do it. Do it right now. No, 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 no.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just telling you this is where I'm leading you. This is where I'm taking you. I mean, I'm
Ah,
not saying it always says that, but I had to learn that some of the visions that I got did not mean stop what you're doing and do it now. It just meant this is where I'm taking you. So
be
get things lined
aware.
up so you can get there.
Yes, and be aware. I
Be aware.
love that. Ooh, that's good. Well, Boss Talkers, you can find Dr. Norma Hollis right here at www.normahollis. Is that a dot? Is that dot
Yeah.
com?
Mhm.
And then info at Norma Hollis. You can email her and go ahead and take her authenticity assessment at authenticityassessment.com. And on LinkedIn, you'll find her by clicking that link. So save this show, save all of these links, and please get in touch with Dr. Norma Hollis so that you can get closer to yourself. How about that? And let's see. Connie says, "Oh, that was before." Let me see. I saw something down here. Gwendolyn says, "My speaking mentor, authenticity coach. If you didn't know her, now you know. So get connected while you have this privilege to get to her." That's right. That's absolutely right. So I'm gonna put it right back up there again. So as we uh as we go out tonight, and again, I want to just thank you, Dr. Norma, for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your gifts with the Boss Talkers tonight. And we'll see you again. And again, y'all, follow Dr. Norma at all these beautiful places right here. You heard it first right here on Boss Talk. And so y'all know that I love you. And it's that time again. We will see you again next Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And until then, y'all know what to do. Live love and shalom, y'all. Let's play it out.
Gold, one of a kind.
Yes, lady.
Gold, one of a kind.
This has been Boss Talk. It's Wednesdays at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So please be sure to share that. Go to YouTube and click that subscribe button and click on that bell so you can find us every time we go live. We're here at 6 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central, and 9 o'clock on that East Coast. So y'all know what to do. Be well.